On May 25, 1968, just a day before her 11th birthday, Mary Bell committed her first murder. Mary, along with her friend and occasional accomplice Norma Bell, no relation, strangled 4-year-old Martin Brown in an abandoned house in Scotswood, a working-class district of Newcastle upon Tyne, England. The case of Mary Bell continues to disturb and intrigue criminologists, psychologists, and the general public due to the youth of the perpetrator and the brutal nature of the crimes. Mary Flora Bell was born on May 26, 1957, in Newcastle upon Tyne into a deeply troubled family. Her mother, Betty Bell, was a known prostitute who reportedly tried to kill Mary multiple times during infancy. Mary's father was absent, and her home life was filled with neglect and abuse. Growing up in such an environment likely had a profound impact on her psyche. Reports from relatives and neighbors painted a picture of Mary as an emotionally disturbed child, prone to violent outbursts. She often harmed other children, attempted to suffocate them, and showed a disturbing fascination with death. Teachers and social workers took note of her aggressive tendencies, but no effective intervention was made. On May 25, 1968, 4-year-old Martin Brown was found dead in an abandoned house. Initially, authorities believed his death to be an accident, as there were no visible signs of injury. However, the presence of Mary and Norma at the crime scene raised suspicions. Shortly after the murder, Mary and Norma broke into a nursery school and vandalized it. They left chilling notes, one of which read, "I murder so that I may come back." These notes would later serve as crucial evidence linking them to the crime. Still, authorities did not immediately suspect them. 2 months later, on July 31, 1968, Mary escalated her violence. She and Norma targeted another young boy, 3-year-old Brian Howe. This time the murder was even more brutal. Brian was strangled and his body was found with small cuts and an M carved into his stomach with a razor blade. Clumps of his hair were also cut off. The injuries suggested an element of sadistic pleasure in the act. During the investigation, police noted Mary's odd behavior. She appeared fascinated by the case, frequently visiting the family of the deceased to ask strange questions about how they were feeling and what they thought had happened. Witnesses reported seeing Mary and Norma with Brian on the day of his murder, and after extensive questioning, Norma confessed. She implicated Mary as the primary instigator, leading to their arrest on August 5, 1968. Mary and Norma's trial began in December 1968 at Newcastle Assizes. The prosecution described Mary as highly intelligent, but showing signs of psychopathy, while Norma was characterized as easily led and less aware of the gravity of the situation. The most shocking aspect of the case was Mary's demeanor. She showed no remorse and even seemed to enjoy the attention. Psychologists determined that Mary suffered from a severe personality disorder, likely influenced by her traumatic upbringing. She was accused of both murders, while Norma was charged only in connection with Brian Howe's death. On December 17, 1968, Mary Bell was found guilty of manslaughter due to diminished responsibility rather than murder. The judge, Mr. Justice Cusack, sentenced her to be detained indefinitely at Her Majesty's pleasure. Norma, on the other hand, was acquitted and released, as the court determined she had been coerced by Mary. Mary was initially sent to a young offenders institution, and later transferred to various secure units as she grew older. During her incarceration, she underwent extensive psychological evaluation and treatment. Reports suggest she showed remorse over time, though debates continue regarding the authenticity of her rehabilitation. In 1980, at the age of 23, Mary Bell was released from custody and granted anonymity to protect her identity. She was given a new name and eventually had a daughter, who remained unaware of her mother's past until reporters uncovered Mary's whereabouts in the 1990s. Mary Bell's case continued to spark outrage long after her release. In 1998, when she collaborated with journalist Gitta Sereni for the book Cries Unheard, public backlash was intense. Many felt it was unjust for her to profit from her crimes, though Mary claimed she received no payment beyond living expenses for participating in the project. Due to intense media scrutiny, Mary and her daughter were forced to relocate multiple times. In 2003, the British government extended a court order granting lifelong anonymity to Mary and her daughter, a decision that remains controversial. Mary Bell's case remains a subject of extensive study in criminology and psychology. It raises numerous questions. What drives a child to kill? Can a child truly understand the gravity of murder? How should society treat young offenders who commit heinous crimes? Some experts argue that Mary was a victim of her circumstances, shaped by severe abuse and neglect. Others believe she had an inherent predisposition to violence. The case has influenced legal policies regarding juvenile offenders, particularly in the United Kingdom, where anonymity for child criminals has become a significant issue. The story of Mary Bell is one of tragedy and horror. It serves as a grim reminder of the consequences of neglect, abuse, and the complexities of childhood criminality. Whether one views her as a monster or a victim, the case remains one of the most disturbing in British history. Even decades later, it continues to provoke debate about justice, rehabilitation, and the treatment of juvenile offenders in the legal system.